So here we've got a comp C woofer that came in. Obviously, it went through the process. You were saying, obviously, we open them up to find out what the failure is. So to do that, we have to cut them apart. So here's, actually, it's never going to be used again, a cut open speaker. But as I look at this one, Lance, in our world, that's a pretty clean coil.
That's a very clean coil. We'd assume this is probably no problem found at this point, but for us, we want to make sure there's no other defects in this driver when we do any type of warranty on it. Thus the reason why we cut them open, to double check there's no former rubbing or anything like that. So this one probably was no problem found, but we'd go one step further just to make sure we're not finding anything else out wrong with that driver.
And then when you open this up, besides looking at, which is probably the #1 failure on a speaker, is coil failure, whether that's from a manufacturing defect or too much power, customer abuse. This could also, it could have been a broken tinsel lead that could have been failed. It could have been whether that was from being misaligned, not long enough. It could have been any number of failures, but this particular driver, when you open it up, you log whatever you found, and we use that information up in our quality control, which ties right into R&D and helps us design a better speaker if we need to. Sometimes it is a manufacturing defect. And we make a change.
Very few.
Very few. And that's where, and I like saying that from the front side, that's where, you know, look at 4% as our defective rate. The vast majority of what we send out, people are still enjoying it today.
Exactly.
So here's one that probably didn't have a problem, or if it did, it wasn't coil failure, it was something else. And then, this is my favorite one right here.
These are the best.
These are the best. So here's one, Lance, that obviously the magic smoke got let out.
Out very rapidly from the way it looks.
So in a case like this, my best guess is looking at this is, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, this was either way too much power for an extended period of time, or it was a smaller amplifier than they needed that was overdriven a lot. And this could even be a situation where they may have had the right power and the right speaker, but if they didn't have the right gauge power wire and ground wire for the amplifier, and the amplifier is struggling to make power, this can be an end result. I know we kind of touched on it last time, but it's imperative you use the right size wire to hook everything up, whether it's a power wire for your amplifier, the wire from your amplifier to the speaker, and there's lots of reasons that can cause this. This would definitely be qualified as this is not a manufacturing defect. But I know we cover a lot of this, Lance.
Being the kicker people we are, this was probably 100% covered.
So here we're looking at a driver that is in no way a manufacturing defect. This was a misapplication, a miswire, something happened. But knowing us, I'm pretty sure, like you said, that it probably got covered, and the customer's probably sitting pretty with another driver in their hands right now.
Brand new.
So here's the ugly inside of one that really got roasted. And then, this is one of our tanks.
Yes.
This is a Q-Class, if I'm not. This is a Q-Class L7. And the reason I wanted to talk about this one in particular is this uses a cast aluminum structure, a big, huge, beefy motor assembly. And as long as there's not parts stuck in the gap, and not to get too technical, but that's the area down here that the voice coil rides up and down in, as long as that's able to be cleaned out, we can basically turn this back into a brand new speaker, can't we?
We sure can. We end up we rebuild it, what we call rebuild. We'll put all new soft parts back in this. The only thing that is reused is the basket and magnet. That's it. Everything else is new.
So to kind of put it into more terms that someone might understand is, if you're familiar with rebuilding an alternator, you got an alternator in your car, and let's say the brushes go bad, the windings go bad, the diodes go bad, you know, those moving parts inside the alternator, you simply take the alternator apart, you put all new moving parts back in, the external case is reused, but the external case doesn't wear out, it's the same case. So what we're doing here is we're able to reuse the case, which is the speaker frame, reuse the motor, and bring this back to full strength. And we might do this on another video, but we can take you down where we actually do this in-house. We have speaker rebuild, where they take these, clean them all the way down, put all the new soft parts in, remagnetize it back to full strength. But even though it is technically a brand new speaker, we don't sell them as brand new speakers.
We do not. We sell them as -2 or B stock is what we call them.
So we would use this as a lot of times for a warranty replacement then as well.
Yes, as well.
If someone has a warranty issue, they would send it in and they would get a rebuilt speaker for that. So this is a way that we're able to save a lot of cost for us. There's a lot of aluminum in here. We just don't want to throw it in the trash can. And that kind of goes back, and I didn't touch on the previous ones, but we do recycle all these materials.
Yes,
do we not?
do. We sure do. We recycle every steel or cast structure that is not able to be rebuilt. They're all recycled.
So the materials, the copper, the steel, the plastics, that stuff is all purchased by someone who does recycling, and they take that and they get it back into the stream. So a speaker today, Toyota tomorrow.
It could be.
Okay, well that kind of covers speakers. I'm going to jump over and hit somebody else up. I sure appreciate your time here. Lance?
Anytime.
Thank you very much.
Right.
I hope you enjoyed that. We got more fun, so let's move on down the hallway here.
All right.
Thanks, Lance.
No worries.
This is not the amp you're looking for. Come on over here, Bill. Here, I'll knock.
Hello.
This is Aziz. Aziz, say hello to Facebook.
Hello, Facebook.
How are you doing this afternoon?
Great. Thank you.
I'm bringing the guys down here from guys and gals from Facebook. Aziz, you basically are in charge of all of the electronic repair side of this warranty equation, are you not?
That is correct. I am in charge of all the electronics, all
And-
Kicker electronics.
And I know Lance, he kind of touched on it a little bit, kind of took a little bit of your thunder away from you, but
That's good. That's fine.
basically, if you get an amplifier in here, let's just go through a scenario. Customer sends you an amplifier, it's under warranty, it lands. Lance says that you guys really, within 48 hours, try to get that thing turned and burned. Is that correct?
48, 24.
Really?
Yep.
That's your goal.
My thing is, my story is, we live in Stillwater, Oklahoma, 74074 zip code. If you have a problem on Monday with your amp in Dallas, you call us, get an RMA, have it shipped with UPS Monday night. We will have it here Tuesday morning, and back on the shipping dock Tuesday afternoon. You should have your amp back on Wednesday.
Wow.
Yep.
So
It can be done. We are pretty much with a covered amp with current production, not an older 2000, not a Warhorse. It will not take that long. We're that good.
It's kind of funny you say not a warhorse, because I know Bill, our media guy, he gets a lot of questions about the warhorse, and I saw a few of them out here.
Yes, I have a couple in here. One of them actually I just got done repairing.
You got a repaired warhorse?
I got a repaired Warhorse. I tested it. I could let you look at it if you want.
You know what? I think Bill needs a lot more questions on the warhorse. Let's go take a look at one that you fixed.
All right, yeah. Fresh out of the oven.
We're going to see a warhorse.
So this is the repair department.
This one. You know, obviously, we're coming back here, Bill. We're actually, but if you can kind of get a panoramic view here, we'll do a walk around. But as you can see, we've got all these stations here that are manned by electricians, engineers.
Yeah, we have the disassembly line.
That's the whole.
That's the whole
That's a whole department there.
Yeah. So
And what's pretty cool, take a, Bill, look over there at the, shoot over there to that glass or plexiglass window. And that can, they can kind of see that when the product comes in and it's logged in, it's actually passed through over here to the ER department.
yeah, so that is warranty processing. They process amplifiers, and whether it's covered or not, we take them apart on that assembly line. Then technicians would pick up an amplifier, first come, first serve, to different workstations, repair the amplifier, then put it here on the assembly station. After assembly, we test them using computerized test. It's the audio precision machine, a $20,000 machine. And Dave here, he run audio precision test and decides whether the amp passes or fails.
And my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is the Audio Precision, it is a machine that can run a software or a program to run it through all the testing that's required. And basically, a repaired amplifier out of here goes through the same testing as a brand new amplifier goes through to make sure it's certified to be sold as a kicker amplifier.
That is 100% correct. Our goal here is to meet the specs that the amp has when it came out of the assembly line at the factory. So we meet the specs written on the box.
And the other, and you know, I've known Aziz for probably about as long as I've known Lance, so I'm kind of leading the witness here. But the other cool thing I know that we do here is we may come out with a brand new amplifier in 2016, and 6 months into it, we find that we want to make a change to the circuit board, whether it makes it a more reliable circuit or does something for whatever we may find.
We do that. Yeah.
If someone sends an amplifier in for a warranty issue and they've had something happen, you don't just fix the amplifier, but
We
you
update
actually
it.
bring it up to the current standard where it's at, correct?
Correct. So in other words, our brand new product is great, but our repaired product is likely going to be even better.
Because it's going to have the most latest current updates that we have on the product line.
That is correct.
So that's something I just wanted to point out. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
And Bill, did you notice there's another thing right here that people are going to ask you lots of questions about?
18
Yes.
Solo X.
This looks just like the Solo X, Kip.
I think it is a Solo X, Bill. So
That's what I use to test the Warhorse. That's my initial test for Warhorse because it takes all the wattage that can go out there. I'm not going to be able to run full power. I don't have enough power supply here.
Sure.
I only have a little over 100 amperes to deal with. So here it goes. If you're ready,
Let's find out this amp's fixed.
cross your fingers. Let's run 1 volt through it, and that is 40 hertz. I'm going to take it to 75. And then do 2 volts.
Oh, I'm going over there.
Hold on to that speed.
We're good.
Okay.
It's actually rocking the box.
Yeah. And we do 3 volts. What do we have here? No. Okay. Sorry. Let me get more power. One second, Ian. I don't have enough power. Okay, we start over.
Very few people do.
Okay, we're drawing about 30 amps. I don't want to draw any more.
Yeah, we don't want to blow up your power supply.
Let me slow it down a little bit.
See, what frequency is that?
That's 50 hertz.
That's 50 hertz, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
I went down to 1 volt. I had 30 hertz earlier, actually. What you were filming was 30 hertz.
All right.
I don't want to buy
This brings up an interesting point. A lot of people like to play low, but low is not as loud.
You
Is
know
it?
what's interesting is what frequencies people like to hear, what frequencies they think they like to hear, are sometimes two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a little too much book knowledge versus what's real gets you into trouble there. But
Yeah, I don't know if we go lower than 30 on this. I mean, it'll go to 10, but it's doable, but I don't know if that's good for the woofer or the Warhorse. I'll go 10 briefly. You can count him probably.
And
It's
there's
very
10.
quiet now.
yeah, because it's moving 10 times a second.
Yeah, so he goes 20.
There's 20 hertz.
It's a lot quieter than 30, of course. And compare that to 100 hertz. Back to 20.
That's awesome.
Proves an interesting point for sound pressure competitors, doesn't
There
it?
you go. It does. So it's obvious, Aziz, when you guys are testing, or after you repair an amplifier, you obviously put through a lot of testing.
We do. One of my biggest problem in this department is amps that have no problem, no fault found, no problem found. Customer would say, my amp shuts down immediately. Most often, he's running illegal load. Most of our mono amps are 2 ohm stable. People like to use 1 ohm because it's louder. Well, you can do that, but you cannot crank up your amp, and that's very difficult. You're sitting in your car, it's easy to turn that dial up, the amp shuts down. They bring it here, we do a lot of testing. We have test equipment outside that we run the amp on for half a day sometimes, and I could monitor it on my screen to know that the amp is running. It tells me how many currents it's drawing,
Right.
how loud it is, and often enough we install an amp in a car and let the employee take it home to make sure there's nothing wrong with it.
This will be another thing we can do, and we've touched on it a few times, Dave and I, but this definitely just shows how important it is the vast majority of what we see as amp problems are honestly either misloaded, so too low of an impedance for what it's designed for, Or really what we see more and more of is people using either the wrong gauge power and ground wire, or here's the controversial topic, copper covered aluminum wire. And CCA wire, gauge for gauge, will not pass the same amount of current as solid copper.
It will not.
And basically, if you look at it, if you've got your amplifier with an undergauged wire for power and ground or CCA wire, it can literally get into a current starve situation where it can start putting itself into protection and causing issues, but it's not an amp problem, it's just not getting enough fuel.
That is very accurate. Often enough, even if they use kicker wires, if the ground becomes loose with time, you know, car drives, vibration, hot weather, cold weather, moisture, humidity,
Sure.
you lose all that power, and then, you know, it's easy to blame the amp. 70% of what we see here is no problem found.
70%.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the amp. So what we do, we update the amp if it needs it and send it back to the customer with some recommendations on what to do. I call customers and ask them to change certain things they have, and I never hear back from them.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So hopefully that gives everyone kind of a view of what goes on here, that once you get a great kicker product, and if you have a problem, well, what happens after that is, I hope you can tell there's a lot of great people here who are working hard to get it taken care of and get it back in your hands as quick as they can, whether it's a speaker product or an electronics product. And the fact that, and I'm kind of leading you, I mean, I know for a fact that we always have this timeline, electronics is 48, but you really try to do it in 24, and that's pretty amazing.
We do, a lot of them we do in 24, and we actually label our amplifiers when they're processed, if they're going back to a retail customer, or if they're a credit amp. Some of the amplifiers that come here, they come in for exchange, you know, we keep them, so those have lower priority. Our first priority is to make sure the retail customer gets his amp back. Second priority, which is almost as equal, is the dealer amplifiers, because we assume the dealer took care of the customer already,
Sure.
so we can buy ourselves a little time. But any customer, retail customer that calls, you call and you say, I've got an amp problem. Once we get it here, we do everything we can to turn it back to you.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's, I mean, really, 24 hours is more of the norm than an exception for us.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Aziz, thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank
Out there
you.
in Facebook land, if you got any questions about this, be sure to hit us up. We can always address this in another one. And I'm going to steal Bill, and we're going to go do a Facebook Goes Rogue Dave and Kip show, and I'll show you why in a minute.